Okay, good morning. Welcome to Pavitra classes. Today we are discussing about the one main topic, that is calculation and determination of the empirical formula and molecular formula, and also conversion of the empirical formula to molecular formula. So what is empirical formula? So empirical means based on the evidence. Empirical formula means simplest whole number combination of the elements in that compound, and molecular formula is the actual whole number ratio between the elements in that compound. So this is the main glucose empirical molecular formula. It is C6H12O6. Then coming to this 6, 12 and 6, it can be multiplied by the 6. So once it is the 6 into 2, 12. So converting this into simplest form, you can write it as a CH2O. So molecular formula of the glucose is C6H12O6. By simplest whole number, you can write it as a empirical formula CH2O. So you can understand that actual whole number is the molecular formula and the simplest whole number is the empirical formula. Then these are the some of the example of the molecular and the empirical formulas. This is P4O10. You can write it in empirical formula as P2O5. H2O you can write it as same as H2O. N2O4 you can write it as NO2. C10H22 you can write it as C5H11. C6H18O3 you can write it as C2H6O, and C5H12O you can write it same as the C5H12O. So here you can understand that in some cases molecular formula is the same as the empirical formula. So how you can convert the empirical formula into molecular formula? So the chemical formula will be always sum of the integer multiple. So identifying the integer multiple of the number of the empirical formula. So once the integer multiple of the molecular formula is understood, you can convert the molecular formula to empirical formula. So this is the calculation formula. N is equal to integer multiple is equal to molecular formula divided by the empirical formula. Or you can write it like this: empirical formula into chemical integer multiple n into n is equal to molecular formula. And one more calculation is that is integer multiple formula is equal to molar mass divided by the empirical formula mass. So these are two major formulas of converting the molecular formula and the empirical formula. So coming to the practical based problems. So here one example is that a white powder is analyzed and found to have the empirical formula of P2O5. The compound has a molar mass of 283. Okay, this is 283 it is. 283 it is. 283.88. Okay, this is P2O5. So the compound has a molar mass of 283.88. Same it is. So how to convert it? So first you have to convert the empirical formula mass. This is the step 1, empirical formula mass conversion. So coming to phosphorus. So what is the atomic mass of the phosphorus? 2 into 30. So atomic mass of the phosphorus is 2 into 30. It is 61, and oxygen is here P2O5 5 are there. Atomic mass 16. So by adding this to 61 plus 80 will get 141.94 grams. This is the empirical formula mass. So what is the formula? Second one, integer multiple is equal to molar mass divided by the empirical mass. So integer multiple, molar mass they have given 283.88 divided by 141.94. So you will get the integer multiple as 2. So once the integer multiple is identified, you have to take the empirical formula. So P2O5 by n into empirical formula is equal to molecular formula. So n is 2 here. Empirical formula they have given as P2O5. Here this is the empirical formula into 2. So it will give P4H10 O10. So 2 into 2 4, 5 into 2 10. This is the molecular formula into empirical formula calculation. So next when question is in the percentage calculation, so each element will be in the percentage. So how to do that empirical formula calculation? So calculate the empirical molecular formulas of a compound that contains 80% of the carbon and 20% of the hydrogen and has a molar mass of 30 grams. So here you can take 80% of the carbon. So first what you have to do, percentage of the carbon, 80% of the carbon, you can write it as 80 gram of the carbon in, so carbon atom mass is 12 gram. So 80 by 12 you will get 6.67, 20. So hydrogen atom mass is 1, so 20 by 1 is 20. So once this conversion of gram is done, you have to check which one is the least number. So here 6.67 and 20. Comparing this, 6.67 is the least number. So 6.67 divided by 6.67 you will get 1, and 20 divided by 6.67 you will get 2 point something. So you can take the whole number 3. So it is the ratio of the elements. So carbon is 1 and hydrogen is 3. So you can write as empirical formula in the ratio CH3. So once the empirical formula is added, 1 and 3, CH3, empirical formula mass. So how to convert empirical formula mass? So carbon atomic mass is 12 and 1 carbon is there, 12 into 1, 12, plus 3 into 1, hydrogen is 1 atom mass, so 3, 12 plus 3 is equal to 15. So empirical formula mass is 50 and molar mass already they have given us 30. So molar mass divided by empirical formula mass, you will get the integer multiple 2. So once 2 you find, so empirical formula you have 2 into CH3, you will get C2H6. This is the molecular formula. So you have calculated empirical formula as well as molecular formula of this compound. So the step by step you can take the percentage to gram conversion by the atom mass, then taking the ratio by the least number, then empirical formula calculation. Once the empirical formula you get, then you have to convert to empirical formula mass, then integer multiple you have to calculate. Once the integer multiple is calculated, you have to multiply by the empirical formula, then you will get the molecular formula. I hope you understand well. Thank you.